want to do a quick recap of our Sprint 2 meeting. It's the recap of Sprint 1 and the planning for Sprint 2. I'll try to just go through our slides real quickly and have a separate video for talking more about the new procedures with Trello. All right, so we went over what retrospective meetings and planning meetings are. These are the typical steps that you take when you're going through it. What worked well? You asked the team, and we talked about it, what each person thought went well with the sprint, and as a group, we kind of look at how it was successful, and then the flip side of that, what could be improved. And it's important to be open and candid with things that could have gone better, but still constructive. And then what will we commit to doing in the next sprint? And it's both about what we want to get done and also about how we will take what worked well and what didn't and work with that to change things for the better. It's an ongoing thing. It never ends. And it's just about always moving towards like the ideal productivity and fulfillment and whatnot of the group. So for us, I just had some notes about what I thought worked well, and then we talked with the group about what everyone else thought was going well. We have a lot of new content for the project. We have lots of new members filling some new roles. Community developments, we're developing the different social endpoints and the website. So Facebook and our LinkedIn are fairly developed. We're focusing kind of on Twitter and Instagram. And then we have to update some of our other ones, like Game Jolt is another game client, a lot like Itch that we're using. The stand-up meetings, attendance is something that does affect how effective it is. We have the asynchronous meetings that fill in the gap if people can't come. So one thing about that is that we have cut them down from twice a week to once a week, which I think will fit better with people's schedules and ability to commit to something that's kind of a passion project, in addition to an investment in yourself for your career goals and personal development. So I know this isn't a complete list, but we wanted to kind of celebrate some of the new members. A few of them were in the meeting yesterday, and just welcome to everyone. And we're so glad to have you here and to help us make Roll even better than it is. So what could be improved? And really this is 100% on my end. We looked at this as something to get started. And so there were necessarily going to be some problems with our coordination and what we were working on as far as where we focused on a broad goal or we were just doing stuff. And it was okay for me that we were just doing stuff for the most part. We all had ideas of what could go into the game, but it was kind of like, this would be cool, that would be cool. Or I'd Google something and think that could be like an intro task. And so it wasn't so much about working together towards this new fantasy kingdom that we kind of talked about as a possible way of improving this aspect of it. We didn't have a clear plan. We don't have a game design document, which is kind of a really fundamental thing for it. But with the group being as new and unfamiliar as we are in terms of our process and each other and the project, it just wasn't reasonable to try to be more organized than that. So those both lead into what we're going to do next. We're going to focus on adding a new experience to the game. Right now we kind of have a single theme going on, and one of the ideas is to have a very set of worlds to go into with different mechanics and different looks. And then we want to be working on those broad goals. And so what I spent a lot of time on Trello is to facilitate more following of the Agile development framework Scrum. And this meeting, that was kind of the retrospective end of it. And I combined both the retrospective and the planning meetings together into one, just like we did with the stand-up meetings being cut down to one a week, in order to make it easier for people to contribute and attend as much as possible, given their availability. So a sprint planning meeting is where we get ready for the next sprint. We have our backlog, which is everything we want to get done, basically roll. And then the sprint planning meeting, we say, okay, that's everything we want. How do we see what we can try to tackle this time, this 2-week session? And that's where we go from our backlog to our sprint backlog. The regular backlog, like I said, is kind of everything. It's broken up into everything we have to get done and when we want to try to get it done. And it's a vague idea that will change over time. Maybe halfway through this and we say, you know what, this would be really fun multiplayer. And that might really throw things out of whack on the product backlog. So the sprint backlog is immediate. It's kind of set in stone. You can still work with that, and it can evolve as we go as well, but it's a lot more narrowly defined and more set. Another thing about this grid here, it looks kind of counter, but what you've got is a user story on the left, and all these little sticky notes on the right are the tasks, and they are where we have where they are in as far as their completion, whether they've been started, who's working on them, what state it's in, and it's visible at a glance. Who's working on what? What's left? What have we really knocked out? What have we fallen short on? Who's been a rock star? Who's been getting it all done? Who should we reach out to and ask if we can support them in any way? And then communication between people about the tasks that are going on as well. It's a very quick way of finding out a lot about the current state from a macro and a micro perspective. So this is a glimpse of the Trello. I'll make a separate video for this because even people who did get to go to the meeting have some stuff that is worth seeing in this, and I will just leave it for that. But it's basically adapted to our new goals with Scrum. This is kind of tied into what I will talk about with the Trello, but it's what I was saying we can commit to doing better. We're going to focus on broad changes and coordinated changes. So Barry's fantasy environment idea is something that I really want to focus on because we have interest from several people across different skills, and that is probably going to be the big push for the next 2 sprints is develop content for that, develop mechanics for that, develop aesthetics and models and pieces that can build environments, and start building some prototype levels in this 2-week section. I'll develop some tasks on that today. It's my homework for today. And then in the next sprint, we'll take those things and refine them. And these other ideas, the pit and the directional gravity, are kind of longer range goals that I want to start to do research on. So we won't be working too much about implementing the pit. Anyone who wants to work on that idea is welcome to. And what it is when we release this thing, we'll have all the key levels in this hub, and then below it or from it or some way of travel to it will be everybody's content that wants it in there. So any member walks in, clicks on us from Facebook, can make a little, put it in, as long as it's appropriate, even if it's terrible, it can go into the pit. And as people get better and more experienced, they'll start to see their levels have chances of becoming canon, more or less, part of the main arc of the game. And that way, there'll be a lot of content and celebrating everyone who contributes and still having a nice polished thing on top. I think it'll be a fun way to also include all the different aesthetics in this mishmash of this, not like a garbage pile, but it's, I made some references to Thor, the heroic Ragnarok, and then the old Transformers movie where they go to the junk planet. But it's, I don't want to make it seem like trash because there's nothing bad about it. It's just these are our works in progress, our first attempts, and then we have like our premium stuff at the top, the highlights. And directional gravity, I showed a little video. You can just Google directional gravity UV4 on YouTube and see. I guess you're not Googling it on YouTube, but it's the same thing. It's like Mario Galaxy, and it's almost at a click. A single click, you'll have these template maps where you can run around them, and the camera moves around with you, and you can just picture our ball, even a better fit than Mario, just rolling along the sphere. And the higher end of that, what's nice is that it is all in C++. He's exposed plenty of it to Blueprint, and he's super active on Discord for people who do get into this, but it's a great way to get into C++ programming with Unreal for people who are interested on that end. This is just a kind of like tie it together. This is some more Scrum stuff. The small, medium, large is how we estimate our tasks. Is this an easy task, an okay task, a hard task? And I'll go into that more in the Trello video. But I'll actually leave this stuff off. We'll talk about it. You have artifacts and analytics from Scrum that we can benefit from. But that is it for that. I want to cut it off here.